All right, it started recording. So I just need to let you know that this project is part of the Clinch Coalition's 25th anniversary oral history project. And your participation is completely voluntary. If at any point you don't want to answer a question, you can totally opt out or withdraw from the interview. The release form that I have here allows for the Clinch Coalition to take possession of your story and use it for educational and nonprofits purposes. And the interview will be housed at the Mountain Empire Community College's archive in the near future.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I've got a sign that says this meeting is being recorded, and now I've got rid of it.
Okay, good. Okay, so if you just want to start with some of like your personal background, like where you're from, your parents' names or their occupations, your education, your occupation, just basics.
Okay, all right. It's Dr. Richard Cartwright Austin, and I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, raised in Washington, D.C. Went to theological seminary at Union Seminary in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And began with a parish ministry in the rural Pennsylvania, 5 rural churches, and then went back to Washington, D.C. with a church, my home church there, and then was asked to head the Presbyterian Church's largest Appalachian mission, which was the West Virginia Mountain Project, which was south of Charleston. We had about 15 churches and several parishes, several other ministers working with me, and worked there for 5 years. During that time, strip mining, most of the deep mines had closed. It was a mining area, very intense mining area. Most of the deep mines had closed, all but one, but strip mining was taking off around the mountains, and the damage was coming down on folks. So I took I got interested in strip mining, and when a friend of mine ran for the Virginia legislature on the promise of introducing legislation to abolish strip mining in West Virginia, I volunteered to. He won.
Oh, awesome!
To his surprise, he won his seat in representing Kanawha County, and then so I said, well, I volunteered to help him in the legislature. He didn't, they didn't have any legislative assistance or anything. Then Jay Rockefeller, who was making his first run for governor, he came out for the abolition of strip mining, and Jay got us together, and he gave us some initial funding to set up an office and an organization, which I headed, Citizens to Abolish Strip Mining in West Virginia. We organized heavily and broadly. We totally dominated the legislative session. We didn't get strip mining abolished, but during that period, before that legislative session was over, Ken Heckler, who was congressman in southern West Virginia at the time, announced that he was going to introduce legislation to abolish strip mining for coal nationally. And then after the West Virginia legislature was concluded, then he asked me to come work for him to get ready for national hearings. So I worked that summer with him, and then I stayed with the effort. I organized a Appalachian Strip Mining Information Service, and I helped organize groups around the United States uh, to fight strip mining for coal.
Yeah.
And we persisted for years and years. Several years, we got a bill through Congress, and Jerry Ford vetoed it. Then the next year, we got the bill passed again with a veto-proof majority, we thought. But then the Arab oil embargo came along, and that's switched some votes, and
Yeah.
we lost it again. The veto was sustained, and then finally, when Jimmy Carter was elected president, Congress passed a bill. This was not to abolish strip mining, but to control strip mining for the third time. And I was with Jimmy Carter in the Rose Garden when he signed it into law.
Wow.
And which was nice.
Yes. That's
And
awesome.
so then, so I had done this lot of work in strip mining.
Yeah.
And I decided that I really wanted to change my ministry from parish ministry to working on the relation between faith and environmental responsibility. I was also so tired of strip mining. So I decided I'd try to get a farm base, and a friend of mine, Ann Liebig, who eventually became my wife.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's what his username is on here.
Brought me down to a farm that she and others were starting in Southwest Virginia near Dungannon. And then I bought the neighboring farm and to start a farm, and then married Ann and began a ministry of what I call environmental theology, which involved writing a series of books and speaking around the country on environmental topics, and training seminary students and speaking at theological seminaries and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
That went on for 40 years
Mm-hmm.
until I finally retired. And let's see now. Well, that brings us close to where we are.
Yes.
That was a while ago. Now
And
it's to start the Clinch Coalition. From the farm, I had gotten involved already in several national forest issues. It started with strip mining, actually, because the bill that we passed in Congress, a ban on strip mining in the national forest began 6 months after the bill was passed. And meanwhile, a strip miner had decided he put in an application to strip mine a seam of coal on the ridge right behind my farm.
oh,
I was on the north side of the Clinch River, and he was on the south side. And this was a very steep seam of coal. It wasn't flat. It was steep grade going down toward the river, and strip mining there would have been a disaster for the river, among other
yes.
things. So I mobilized opposition to that. Mike Penfold was forest supervisor at that time. And so we nicknamed the site Penfold Knob to get his attention. And he finally turned down the strip mining application.
Mhm.
And so then I got involved in looking at some areas in the forest which I thought would make good candidates for wilderness protection,
Yes.
particularly Devil's Fork. And I organized a Devil's Fork Trail Club. There was an old trail up to Devil's Bathtub, which had fallen into disuse, and we cleaned it up and opened it up so the public could use it. And then
That's great.
we continued a loop around the Devil's Fork area. So there was a nice loop trail. And so I was involved with that when the National Forest announced proposal to do a great deal of strip mining
Mhm.
in the High Knob region.
Yes. Yeah.
And they were going to do a huge amount in an area which had already been impacted by a lot. I mean, by a lot, not strip mining, clear cutting.
Yeah.
Clear cutting. Which in a region which was already done, had more clear cutting than other parts of the National Forest.
Mhm.
And so I was involved with the Devil's Fork Trail Club, and Steve Brooks was involved with a group called the Coalition for Jobs and Environment. And Steve and I got together, and he and Otis Ward, who lived on the mountain in the middle of where this clearing would take place,
Mhm.
they wanted to do a petition to oppose it. My experience with petitions had been not favorable. In other words, I didn't think they ever did any good.
Yeah.
But they wanted very much to do a petition. So I decided that I'll draft a petition and we'll try to make it as good as we possibly can. So we drafted a good petition with a strong explanation of what was being proposed. And then, even more important, we had people, when they signed the petition, we had the line where they put down their address so we could keep in touch with them.
Mhm.
And the petition actually took off. People got very excited about it. Several store owners featured it, and other people carried it around. We by the time we started organizing the Clinch Coalition, we had 1,000 signatures, and I think it went up to 2,000 before it finally finished. And so it was the petition, and then using the petition, Steve organized discussion groups around the mountains to discuss it. And then from those groups, we gathered a kind of a key group of about 25 to come together and to formally organize the Clinch Coalition. And so we had a strong group with a lot of potential supporters who really were
Yes.
supporters.
Yes.
And so the petition worked wonderfully. I'm now more in favor of petitions under certain circumstances.
You were pleasantly surprised.
We were. I was stunned. I'd never seen a petition work well like this one did. And so that was really what led to the organizing of the Clinch Coalition. And it gave us a strong presence.
Mhm.
So when we started, dialoguing with the Forest Service, they had to listen more. And so this was in 1999, summer of 99. And so we started badgering the Forest Service. And so they decided that they needed to have some public meetings to explain what they wanted to do. So they set up a series of public meetings in 2000, the year 2000. And they became very important because most of the people who came to the meetings were opposed to the Forest Service's plan. And we were well organized and well prepared. We got, with the aid of all the people who had signed the petition, we got a lot of people out.
Yeah.
And so by the time that was over, the Forest Service had cut their proposal in half, and which was a start, but it was still mostly clear cutting. It was really bad. It was really bad forestry. Then I guess it was, let's see, I got some notes here somewhere. Their meetings were February to June of 99.
Mhm.
And we early into, and the meetings forced them to cut back.
Yeah.
And then, but we still were very upset about what they were doing. It was still mostly clear cutting, and which we thought was very bad forestry practice. So we started, early in 2000, we erected billboards at the approaches to the National Forest. And we had a wonderful one up on top of the mountain with Smoking Bear holding a chainsaw, and so we started calling him, we calling for the capture of Smoking Bear, who was going to cut down the forest.
And that was right up top where the clear cutting was supposed to happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was right on.
Wow.
Actually, that one was on Otis Ford's property, and it was right at the entrance to the forest, right where it was going to happen. And there were more in other places, but that was then in 2001 in July. There was a big flood on
from the creek,
Stony Creek.
Yes.
Which was also part of their area they were going to be cutting, and it flooded out a lot of homes and killed one person, and that forced them to cut back some more. Because Congressman Boucher was very helpful in all of this.
Yes.
And he So that was how we got started. So their proposal kept shrinking, but it still was bad forestry. So we started various programs to promote sustainable forestry and getting landowners involved in practicing a sustainable forestry, and again, having some staff to support them.
Mhm.
And which was really selective tree cutting. And that was very promising and effective. So that and we kept holding rallies. Let's see, I've got we did another petition in 2004 to lobby the Forest Service to emphasize recreation in the region over logging.
Mhm.
And, got a lot of support for that. And we had in 2004 and 2005, we did festivals up on top of the mountain.
I read about those. I heard about those.
And so it was.
Would you guys get a big turnout from the community when you would?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did. They were quite popular. And we did an art and essay contest and in 2006, and and distributed photography that people took of the forest and stuff around the region and stuff. So that was and I may have, that may have been pretty close to the time that I was retiring. And I was with this and other projects. When I reached 65, I kind of burned out, and so I've formally cut back on my public organizing activities.
Yeah.
And I was just not able to continue.
Well, you were working hard while you were involved, so I would understand.
That was, yeah, and this was just one of a number of projects I was involved in.
Yes.
But yeah, I worked hard until I couldn't anymore. And so now I've just been coasting along.
Well, when you left, was there a large involvement like within the coalition? Had it grown to a
it
healthy?
was a really strong group and had good leadership, which made it, possible to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Steve stayed right with it. But there were other good we generated a good, strong group, and it's evolved over the years, and new people have come and but it's been a strong creative group dealing with the Forest Service.
Yes.
And we haven't stopped all clear cutting, but we've cut it back a great deal. And
yes, without you, it wouldn't be there anymore.
And other alternatives which have taken more hold. And so I think it's been a very creative effort. And here's a group, still 20 years later, still going strong.
Still going for it. Yeah, I've been up to High Knob multiple times, and it's gorgeous. It's amazing up there. So thank you for keeping it that way.
Well, they got it started, and and my role in organizations in general, and I've has been as a kind of a startup strategist. Uh, this is the kind of thing I seem to do well, and the we we had another huge battle around actually when American Electric Power wanted to build a 400-foot dam at the mouth of Devil's Fork and build pump storage there, uh, or over in Brumley Gap in Abingdon. Uh, I organized the groups that fought that and led them for a number of years. Well, that was a 5-year struggle, and then we won. But they abandoned the pump storage entirely. But the oh, but this is the kind of thing that the kind of thing I did when I wasn't writing books and running around the country speaking.
What would you say that while you were part of the coalition was the biggest challenge you faced? If you could name one. I know there's many, but
Well, it was the continual, building the group and the continual strategizing to how to engage with the Forest Service as strongly and as coherently as possible, which I think we did.
yes.
But that was, to me, that was the key to it.
Yes.
But we did but building the group, we built a really strong group, and which groups like this often don't last that long.
Mm.
And but they have really persevered and thrived, and won some and lost some, but have won
Kept going.
a whole
Yes.
lot more than would have been won if it hadn't been there.
Yes. Were there any other groups that you guys collaborated with or were involved with while you were part of the coalition that you remember being really influential on?
The no, nothing comes to mind.
In a few
The
of the articles I read, there was a group called Earth First, but that might have been in the later 2000s. I'm not
I
sure.
think so. Yeah, I
Okay.
wasn't involved with that in
Okay.
post my retirement.
Okay.
And
And being part of like growing a group from such a large population and like a diverse area, was
yeah,
there any problems with like communication or anything within the organization like that?
uh, no, that went rather smoothly. I mean, because we got off such a strong start. I mean, we
Such a
were,
strong foundation.
yeah, and
Yes.
so and then you know the the more the Forest Service decided to dialogue, the stronger we got. I mean, dialogue is what we wanted, and no, so that was
Well, that's very
it was a
important.
lot of work, but it wasn't, it wasn't problematic. It was,
And that probably
moving
speaks to the
forward.
success
Yeah,
today that it's still so strong.
yeah.
Well, if you could, like one lesson that you learned while you were heading this coalition, is there something that you took away that like a main lesson or a few or
Well, one lesson I obviously learned was that a good petition can be helpful. uh, and but that you know any group needs a style of engagement,
Mhm.
and it varies very much from group to group. How you engage with the company or service you're dealing with, and with the I'm trying to make my mind. Wait a second. Let me
No, you
sort
got it.
through my brain here. With the I don't know what I was.
I think we got the question pretty covered. I have other questions we can move on to. It's all good.
Okay. All right.
Is there like a future vision you have for the Clinch Coalition? Because I know there's still problems in Appalachia and there are things that you would want to keep seeing evolve. So are there future goals or hopes you have for the coalition to continue to do?
Well, I think that the people who are active in the coalition now will have a much better sense than I of the future, and how they, you know, what they build out to reach and touch. They've dealt with other things besides high knob, and but no, I think I'm not worried about that at this point.
Do you have any observations of younger generations getting involved, the newer generations in Appalachia getting involved with the coalition?
I think, yeah, I think people are getting involved, and I'm looking at one. The, yes, I'm very pleased, and we're there's always room for more,
Yes.
but yeah, I think there's a strong sense of engagement in the region, and it's been nurtured by a lot of good people in the past couple of decades, and we're very fortunate to have that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you obviously started the coalition, you wrote the petition that got so many people to be recruited, but is there, out of your whole time with the coalition, is there a experience or a contribution that you're most proud of or you remember really fondly?
Well, I think I've described them. Yeah, it was really gratifying to get that much response and to have people come together and work together so well.
Mhm.
So it was a very satisfying experience.
Yes, and involvement from the government and legislature, some support. I know you said a representative.
Well, Rick Boucher was very
Yes.
important. He was our congressman at the time, and there were others. Bud Phillips, who was a state delegate, was very active, and so we had we had reasonable support.
Well, that's important to have support from the government because it helps you get things passed and put into motion.
Yeah, right.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you for all your contributions. over the years and keeping this area as gorgeous as it is. We all appreciate it.
I love living here.
Yes, it's
And,
gorgeous.
and I appreciate it, and I appreciate that some things that I helped get started are still thriving.
Of
Other
course.
people are doing all the work.
Can I ask you one quick follow-up question? I was just kind of curious. At the beginning of your interview, you mentioned you had a friend you helped to get elected back in West Virginia, Kanawha County. Was that Cy Galperin?
Yes, that was Cy.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, you know Cy, yeah.
Yeah, I've actually, some of my research interest is environmental activism in West Virginia during that time.
Yeah,
And the Back to the Land, or sort of the post war on poverty era. So
yeah.
yeah, and I know about the West Virginia Mountain Project too. So,
Oh, you do? Well, you know quite a lot. No, Cy very definitely was Cy.
okay.
And he was, well, he was surprised that he won. And that his campaign to stop strip mining was the key to his victory. All of this, you know, I mean, he said what he believed, and people voted for him for that reason. And it made a, you know, but he was new to politics. That was, I think, his first run in anything political. He ran a music store, and he was yeah. So he's a lovely, he is, I guess. I really haven't been in touch with Cy for a while, but he's a lovely person, and yeah. So I'm glad you were acquainted with that stuff.
Yeah, that was it was a remarkable moment there in the late 60s to early 70s.
Yes.
Environmental activism was kind of at its height at the time. So
Yeah.
really
Yes.
great to hear you talk about that. That's
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
And we will talk again maybe sometime about something.
Yes. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
we'll send you a form to sign as well,
Yes.
the release form. So look for something in the mail.
All right, I will.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.